Hey, Sebastian. I was just calling to say hi. Nothing important. You have a good day. Bye.
For those who are online, Aaron is our videographer, so thank you very much. You want to just hand the group shot so everybody see? And there's some people on this side. We have a packed house. And I wanted to thank everybody for coming to the memorial for Sebastian James Alexander Wallman Gallup. He passed away either on his birthday or the day after his birthday. We don't know who he was with, but it was certainly not with the people around this room. So we want to take a time so we can cherish his memory and remind him that he, on this day, and we literally interned him this afternoon, that this is the celebration of his life, his memories, and it's with us. I can write and say a lot of things. I've known the young man for about 14, 15 years. We've lived through some fantastic, great times and a lot of horror stories too. But today's talking about the good things that Sebastian has done and what we remember of him. There is a memory book for Shannon and Miles, his mother and brother. If you can write something in, that'll be much appreciated. Take up a whole page so you can fill the book. There is a photograph of Sebastian for you as a keepsake so that you can also keep his thoughts in your homes and in your lives as time goes through. Remember his laugh, his smile, his crazy ability to change anything in your house because he thought it would be better done a different way. And what I would like to do now is turn it over to Jeremy and his other friends and to yourselves for the rest. Thank you, Leslie.
So we just came back from the church earlier, and it was a really nice service. It was really, really emotional. It was a very small group that was there, and I'm really happy that many of you are here right now to celebrate his life together. It's going to be really hard to get through this. I wrote a eulogy for him earlier for the service, but thank you, Mom. The intent today, though, is to hear from many of you. And if you're able to share just a memory that you have, something positive or something that you just want to share, he was a very special soul to many people. And I think a lot of people here would love to hear how he was special in your life. And I'll start. I have a longer written one here, but don't feel like you have to do anything long. Just to share a thought is the intent. But I'll share a little bit of my journey. Sebastian was a dear friend of mine, and for many years, he was my closest friend. He's a friend that I could share my most guarded feelings, my pain, my struggles. I could share the joys of my life as well. And him and I traveled across the country to Vancouver. And we took a month across the country. I was supposed to come back. I was supposed to stay in Vancouver for 4 days. I stayed something like 11 years. The car broke down. So my car broke down in Vancouver and I just stayed. We lived together. We discovered the city together. And it was really exciting. Just discovering a whole new world. And, to this day, he's one of the few people that really knows the real me. They could call me out on my bullshit. He's a lifelong friend. And over the past few weeks, I've been calling some people, some of you here today, that I've had some phone calls with, just to connect, and some people that I haven't met before. And, to many, he was a caring, loving, sensitive, fun-loving, clever and gentle soul. He was really one of a kind. He had an ability to connect with people from all walks of life. He was able to be supportive to so many. Sharp. He loved to debate. I hated. He was very sharp, right? He loved a good debate. He loved to argue on a often intellectual level. He was very smart. Sometimes too smart for his own good. I remember in high school, he came over to my house, just up the street, and he turned all of my electronics to Spanish. That little bastard. You know? And it was such a Sebastian thing. And I wanted to revert it back because I didn't have the mental fortitude or the strength or whatever to even figure out the menus. Like, who knows how to navigate the menus of a VHS? And, but he was gifted. He was so good at that. And he was so good at languages. He figured a way to hack, what is it called? DirecTV, the satellite dishes from the States. So at like 14 years old, he figured out how to like buy stuff on eBay, which to me was like at 14, learning how to fly a jumbo jet. Like, how? Like, what do you mean? I didn't even know how that worked. And he would get all the parts and he figured out a way to hack it. And then he would sell the complete package to friends and family in town to get American channels. And, he was clever. He was really smart. He was able to navigate those things. Mm-hmm. He picked up languages really easily and also put in the work. Right, so he poured countless hours into languages, and about 2 weeks before his passing, he had sent me a screenshot of his Duolingo language app, and you can see all the points. And you usually have to spend an ungodly amount of hours to get points. And his number one language was Norwegian. And what I found out earlier from Wilson is that he also learned Swedish. I forgot about that. That was another one that he had even sent a message in Swedish. I hated when he did that. He'd send me like a message in Russian and he'd be like, thanks, man. I'm not going to Google that.
What he said about the DirecTV thing, so I remember that, like, I was in a house on River Street that, like, it was like a house, but it was divided into like 4 apartments. And I was in the upper one. And he kept he's like, no, you can totally, I know where the box is. And we can, you can rig it so you can get the more, I'm like, because I didn't have any channels because I didn't want to pay for cable. Like, I'm fine without it. I'm like, no, it's illegal, not doing it. He's like, no, but we could totally do it. Like, he was like he would not shut up about it for like a year. Like, I just remember like, oh my gosh, I can't mention anything to do with cables or TV or anything because it would just it would trigger him to talk about trying to get me to like do something. Oh, I remember that. I think it was so he could watch more shows.
That's what it sounds like.
It does sound like that.
Oh, there he is.
Seb would have done a great job setting up the video.
The end of the languages. Am I muted? We're good?
No, you're good.
Okay.
You want him to restart?
No. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. So he had this phone app that essentially, through his Canadian phone number, he had an American phone number, and people could call him on the American number, and he could call out. I could never keep up with him, and it was so effortless for him to figure this stuff out. Actually, when we're trying to figure out the slideshow earlier, we kind of got in and Cecile was like, "Oh yeah, Sebastian set that up," and we're like, because we're just thinking, wouldn't it be nice if he helped us navigate this computer? He was just very skilled at that. He had mastered that. He was sensitive. He could connect with strangers, with people from all walks of life, and he could connect with animals, with children. And recently he had been telling me that he wanted kids of his own. There was a humanity to him. He really cared. He cared very much for his brother, who can't be here right now. but heard me say this earlier. He was sensitive towards himself for not having been able to be the role model he wanted to be for his father, for his brother, to be almost like a father figure of the household. He was sensitive about the fact that he was a source of worry for his mom, for his friends, so many of you in this room, for me. In Vancouver around 2015, 2014, I started seeing a therapist just so that I could handle being a good listening ear as he went through some really hard struggles in his life, some really big battles. And it saddened him that his friends had to get support to be there for him. But at the same time, he was also touched by it. I was committed to being by his side, even if I... Much like he got into photography and I followed suit, I got a dog and he followed suit. And he ran with it. He was extremely skilled at it. His dog, Tally, that there's many photos here. There's Tally right there, and hard to see with the backlight. He's extremely well behaved. He understood animals and how to connect with them, how to give them structure, how to give them consistency, give them love. Something he didn't always do for himself. And in some ways, animals helped him connect with himself. He was creative. His creativity went well beyond photography. He could connect with music in a way that I never could, and I was astonished by it. And some of you will remember high school, he had an iPod, the round-wheeled ones, right? The bigger, nowadays, like a brick, but, you know, you get like a bajillion songs on it. And he always showed me all these different artists right around those days. That was a weird tuxedo thing that I'm wearing. And it was Halloween or something. It wasn't normal there, guys. Yeah, sure, exactly. He was somebody who enjoyed the present, who didn't focus on saving up. Let's be honest, money management wasn't his strength at any point. But he was a bon vivant. And he was so talented. He had so many people rooting for him. He was such a bright young man. In his moments of struggle, of negative patterns, of self-sabotage, it weighed on me. It was hard for me to accept because I wanted more from him and I wanted more for him. Yet he had plenty to offer. It just wasn't in the structure of what I was looking at or looking for. I wanted him to be successful in the way that our current societal system works, because I didn't want to worry about him or to stop worrying about him. I know that's a feeling that's shared by many, and we're very close to him. I wanted to help him so bad. I wanted to find solutions for him, but they needed to come from himself. He fought his addiction demons really hard. He was in the trenches so many times. I felt helpless. It was a world that I did my best to educate myself on, to understand or to attempt to understand, to be empathetic, to be supportive, to attempt to find solutions, like many of the people that truly loved him. But he didn't want people to worry about him, because that's not helpful. And I didn't master that. I feel like I failed him. He taught me about forgiveness the hard way. Years ago, he forgave me for my wrongdoings. And he showed me the path forward where I too was able to forgive him for his. And what I want to cherish most is his laughter. It was a full-bodied laugh. It even made him cough at times, choke on himself. Some of you remember that. The freeing laugh. And he was sensitive. He found it hard. He found it hard when there's subjects that I didn't want to speak about. Things that were important to him, that I wasn't able to take on those conversations. About non-conventional views of the world. And we grew apart over the years, that he battled his addiction demons. But we always remained lifelong friends and still were able to connect and touch base. And we had a long phone call the day before his birthday, this one that just passed. And that night after the call, he sent me his last text message expressing his appreciation for me and a message that I'll cherish. And he said, I hope we can get to know each other again, Jeremy. You're a special dude, and I'm lucky to have you as a friend. And it breaks my heart to reread it. I choose to remember him as the kind, gentle soul that he was. The fun-loving man with a great heart and a great laugh. And today, he's free. He's celebrated. And he has no choice but to hear our love for him, to bask in it, to revel in it. We love you, Sebastian.
I just want to also mention that Sebastian stayed here in this lovely place that we are now conveying in at the moment. He lived here for a while. After our activities this evening, anybody who wishes to visit him, some of your friends will be there too. They'll also give him one last post. So he is literally just, what's the name of the cemetery?
Reedsville.
Yeah. It's literally like 50 meters away. You're welcome to pay respects to him. And I think at this point, Hatley, are you ready?
And if not,
don't worry.
That's my idea.
Yeah.
I would really, really love to hear how he touched some of you, how he, imprinted his memory on you, to share some memories you've had of.
I'll share a little memory.
And so the folks who are online, if you have anything, just raise your hand, and maybe Aaron or Jeremy's father can pay attention to the screen if anybody's raising their hand. All right.
So I don't know if you guys ever noticed how much Sebastian can convince you of pretty much anything.
No.
It's he's not trust me, just trust me. I don't know how many times in my life I've heard him say this, and I always did because he was so convincing. So there was one night we, actually we're at Al's place having a bottle of the wine from the deck that we thought was the best. It was the high end, $10 the deck. Yeah, then we splurged that night, and Sebastian said, "I'll give you a massage, on your shoulders, your tense." Okay, I guess I'll take it. So anyway, Sebastian's giving me a massage, and I've heard from other people that he's really good, but my experience is that he was going really hard. I'm like, Sebastian, I think you're going too much, it's a little painful. He's like, trust me. It's good. This is a good massage. Okay, Sebastian. So anyway, the next morning I had bruises. I was like, all right, I trusted him, but like that's just what you did with Seb, he convinced you of something, you had an experience, and everybody came out okay, and yeah, just there's a lot of darkness around Sebastian, but it's like we can all also there's so many good memories, and there's so much light around. Like there's a lot of light and good stuff to say about him. So I'm just I don't know, it's a really emotional day, and I'm glad you're all here. And yeah, I brought my wallet because Seb probably didn't have his here.
Very true. The floor is open. Barrel.
Hey everyone. I know probably most of you in this room, maybe not everyone. My name's Alvaro. I considered Seb a dear friend for the longest time. But like Jeremy alluded to, we all go on our own paths, and we kind of drift apart for different reasons, being difficult to try to find structure in your life, to have someone that had a fight with a lot of demons. Anyway, but I want to share something that is, like Jen said, an example of the kind of person he was to his core, that was willing to help and give himself immensely. This is before I even knew who he was. In, I want to say level 1 or level 2, so high school, one of the first years. We were in French class. I was experiencing what I know now to be either a panic or an anxiety attack, the first one of my life. The teacher didn't want to make a scene of it, and she was asking me if I knew how to get to the nurse's office, and I didn't. That's why I think it was level 1 or level 2, because it was very new. And he was sitting behind me. He just volunteered to take me. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know his name. He didn't know my name. We didn't know anything about each other. But he stepped up because he saw someone in need. And this is a testament to what Jeremy's saying, is he's always been ahead of his time in whether it's technology or just being a sensitive person and sensing other people's needs. And he just, from then on, I want to say we were close friends right away, but I was a bit of a closed-minded person, unfortunately. But eventually he broke through with me, and of course we became really close friends, to the point where he lived in Ottawa because I lived in Ottawa, and I got to know the city through him, because he's just so adventurous and willing to explore new things and take me out of my own little bubble. And so now when I run errands in the town that I call home, and I see landmarks or places where I have memories with him, and I think, what just such a great person to have around. And I wish I could have done more. But his energy still lives with hopefully all of us, definitely with me. I don't have a glass, but I wish I could raise a glass to Sebastian, because he was at times a better friend than I even deserved. And I wish I could tell him about my new stages of my life, and tell him, I never got to tell him that I had a daughter. I never got to tell him that I took a part. And that's my one regret with Sebastian. But I have so many fond memories, and that's what I'm going to try to take away with me today. Thank you. Thank you.
Sebastian loved. He loved so much. He had so much love to give. He had this misconception that he didn't show the love that he felt like he wasn't able to show, but he always, always said how much he cared for you. He loved me so much, and I always took it for granted. I get so bad at him. Oh, he drives me nuts sometimes. Oh, man.
Only sometimes.
You guys are like siblings.
Oh, man, we would bicker, we would fight. I would be yelling at him, and he would never, ever get upset with me, ever. He was always calm. He was just like, Kelsey, how did I take you? I'd be furious. I'd be like, why are you touching me? He was my best friend. Since the day I met him, he was always there for like many moments of my life. When my mom passed away, when I went through breakups, my good moments, my graduation, high school graduation, my university graduation, he was there. He was always just a phone call away. He would drive me crazy with his phone calls. He would call me at 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes. I'd be like, why are you calling me at this hour? I'm sleeping. I need to get up in 2 hours. Oh, it didn't matter. He didn't care. He was living his Sebastian world. He had his own rules to life. And we kind of just went with it. And like, he and I, we laughed so much. So much. Like, there were times that, like, for example, we were driving and we were out here in North Hatley heading to Wellington. We were laughing so hard that I had to pull the car over because I couldn't drive. He loved to kayak. He would drive me crazy with that too, because I didn't always want to kayak. I'd be hungover or something, and he'd be like, oh, let's go kayaking. So we'd go kayaking, and this one time we were in the middle of the lake. There's all these people with their huge boats and everything having a great old time. And we're there with Tally. He had Tally on his kayak. And he fell over into the lake. And as I'm trying to help him, the dog goes in, I go in, and we're just in the middle of the lake, just like hollering and making such a ruckus. And everyone's just like looking at it. It's like, we're crazy. We can't get back onto this kayak. So we had to swim back to shore. We always had great moments. I have a lot of fond memories with him. And what makes it hard is that I wish I had called him on his birthday, and I was too busy. And that's when we need to realize that we need to like take the time, make those phone calls, because I wish I could just hear him one last time, you know? I saw him a month before he passed away. I ran into him. He was my biggest fan. He was always so proud of me. He was always so excited to see me. The way he would say my name, Kelsey. He would always come give me a huge hug. He was always happy when I was there. And like, he was always proud of me, you know? Like, I always felt that he was proud of me. And I hope that he felt like when he accomplished things, that I gave the same love back. I hope he felt that. And like, the last thing, we gave each other a high five because I was like, hey, I got my motorcycle license. And he was like, yeah, bring your motorcycle. We're going to go ride it on the farm. I was like, oh, no, you're not. I was like, you're not touching my brakes. Hell no. I don't trust you. But I'll just say that he was an amazing person. Yes, he had his struggles. He had his demons. Man, I went to hell with him multiple times. We had our rough patches, but we loved each other, and that's all that matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey. Before I turn it over to Sarah, which is my way of giving her a heads up, there is some pizza from Caravane that's here, that's available. Please have some. Sarah, are you ready? You have to speak up.
I will. Thanks, everyone. It's really nice to be able to join virtually. I've known Seb. I moved from BC to Quebec for the second time. I was about 21, and he on River Street. He lived next door. He was 16, and he used to come over to my place like every day. He came over every day, and we were just one of those things where he looked just like my little brother. and he was the same age as my brother. And so it was like having some family around, and it's nice. Like we just, you know, he came over to eat my food and just be. And there's this one time a boyfriend of mine in North Hatley, and I don't remember if Seb was with us because he was kind of just always there, but we were at someone else's place and a cat, I'm pretty sure Seb and Matt were walking down the alley, and a little kitten, I guess, jumped out of a house and like into a tree. And then I don't know. Anyway, they brought this cat back and they said, my boyfriend said, here, this is for you. And then we put pictures up and stuff, but no one claimed this kitten. So, and I wasn't allowed kittens at my place, but I kept it. And when I was at Hovey working like 12-hour days, Seb would take my little cat, Nikki, my favorite cat in the world, and he would take her whenever he could, all day to his mom's place, so that my landlady, who was watching for me, A, not to be there, and B, for the cat to jump in the window while I wasn't there, I don't know, she's gonna like take him or something. She was crazy, but she used to, so he helped me save my cat, and eventually I brought her, the cat, with me across Canada, and so we see he totally saved my cat from my crazy landlord. And like his mom, he had to hide it. His mom didn't want the cat interfering with their cat. Like, he went through all this trouble just to help me keep Nikki with me. So that was really special. And then when him and Jeremy came out to Vancouver, and when I was living out there, and they visited me in Penticton at my parents, and then I saw them, quite a bit in the beginning. And I was telling these guys that we were going around the seawall, and he had Tally with him, and we were rollerblading. Well, at least I was rollerblading. Maybe Jeremy remembers what him and Seb were doing, but I know I was on rollerblades, and then Tally, he's like, hey, Sarah, let Tally pull you. And this was I think this was very early from when he'd gotten Tally. So she wasn't like super trained at this point. Like, she loved Sebastian, but like, I don't know. And so I'm like, I don't think so. And he just sort of, somehow I'm holding the dog. He was very convincing. And so I'm holding the dog, and he's like, go, or something. And he takes off, and I'm just like holding behind the leash, and she's pulling me all along the looping seawall. And I'm like crashing into bikes, and people are getting out of the way. And like, oh my gosh, it was crazy. I'm shocked I survived over tree roots and stuff. But it was always full of adventure, and we had a lot of really good times. I think I lost them, but again.
Yeah. Oh, they're back.
There we are.
Sarah, can you repeat what you said?
Where were we at?
Tally, okay, yeah, so we were going around the seawall, and maybe Jeremy remembers if him and Seb were on bikes or rollerblades. I know I was on rollerblades, and Tally was on the leash, and Seb just like made me like, here, grab her, and she'll pull you. And I was like, no, thank you. But he put her in my hand. Suddenly I'm like behind, like water skiing behind her, racing down the windy seawall, and there's like tree roots going through the concrete, and I'm just like, and I'm like swinging behind and like bumping into people, and it was so stressful. He's like, see, that's awesome, look, she's doing such a good job. Oh my God, see, she loves it. Like, she's such a good dog. I'm like, I don't know if anyone on this path thinks that right now, but oh my God, so stressful, but I survived. I don't think I fell, but it's a bit of a blur. Maybe Jeremy remembers better than me.
I don't.
Yeah, it was quite a while ago. Yeah, but we went, we did like, we were very much like, because we were like I was like 5 or 6 years older than him. So we were very much like a sibling relationship. Like I'd give him a ride somewhere, and like he'd like say, oh, like we'd be in Penticton, or he was in Penticton at his like, that guy you and Jeremy, you and him used to live with. And like, he's like, oh, give us a ride. And I'm like, no. And he's like, okay, well, just give me a ride. And then I'd get there and he'd be like, okay, the old lawyer man wants a ride too. I'm like, no. And it was like this, always like trying to bring, like, change the plan. And it's like, I have a full car, and then the guy's coming out with his luggage, and it's like, I already said no 400 times. Like, and so, oh my gosh, just like all the time. Yeah. But yeah, it was, Jeremy, I was saying, like, what you were talking about the direct TV thing, I remember back, like when I was living in North Hatley, and he used to come over, like, always, all the time, every day. And he was like, every time he'd bring up for like a year, oh, Sarah, we could totally get direct TV. Like if we change the wires on like the box thing, I'm like, no, thank you. I don't need TV. But like I couldn't even bring it up. I couldn't bring TV up. I couldn't bring the word wire up without him like moving it into trying to convince me to let him like doctor the wiring or whatever. And I'm pretty sure it was just so that he could watch TV at my place, because I didn't care. Like I'd just be getting relaxed some days, and like, because they just come over and eat all my food and sit there forever. And like, and so sometimes like I'd just get relaxed, and then I'd see him and Gideon walking out the driveway, and like, oh my God, the kids again. But it was always, we had our best conversations. We went, he also, like Jeremy said, like he saw me too. Like we went, I think our first day meeting, we just went deep right away. Like we just were always that more of a familial connection. And the last time I talked to him was 3 years ago, on Messenger. And yeah, I don't know. I set boundaries with him pretty always. It wasn't, he was pretty good. He knew my boundaries. But in that conversation, I said, I just want, like, take care of yourself. I just want you to know that I love you. And you've always been like a little brother to me. And he said, yeah, I love you too. So I'm glad we got to say that to each other. And I always was rooting for him, but just never happened, I guess. So
Thank you, Sarah.
thanks.
The floor is open if anybody else wishes, unless there's somebody online, which I just realized I didn't check.
I can say something kind of quick.
Please go ahead.
My friendship with Seb was very localized. I met him and Jeremy, not exactly for the first time, but basically for the first time in Photo Club at Champlain. We had an absurd budget, and Seb was definitely the one to spend an absurd budget on fun adventures, taking pictures. We had all kinds of good times going to weird places where the light would be interesting, where there was interesting architecture or cool animals and bugs and butterflies and stuff we might be able to take pictures of. He was the first person in my life who kind of connected with photography as much as I felt I had. And all of our friendship was just really kind of pure that way. It was a shared interest. We had a great time together. All of my memories are really positive of him from that time period. And I know he went through a lot of difficulties later, and we caught up a few times over Messenger. I wasn't exactly a big part of his life by that point, but I basically just wanted to share my memory of him will always be scrambling over branches and under bridges to like get a great shot before the sun sets.
Sam, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'll make this quick as well, but I thought it worth just sharing a little story that I have about Sebastian.
So since the first time that I ever met him in golf, so kind of around level 1, it was very obvious to me that he was much smarter than I would ever be, kind of thing. He just got, he didn't even have to try at school, and it was just easy for him. But at the same time, he also didn't really care very much, which was kind of frustrating. For probably everybody else, but certainly for me. Not necessarily that I tried very hard at school or anything, but I was trying a little bit and he wasn't trying at all. And in level 5, I remember quite clearly, it was like going to a pay-per-view match to see what Sebastian would do against Mr. Cote in level 5 math. It was like watching two, juggernauts square off, and almost always Sebastian would win by being cunning and clever and just kind of absolutely ripping up Mr. Cote, unfortunately for him. Anyway, that year we both ended up failing math, and so we ended up, it was me, Sebastian, and this guy Jimmy Bouillon, whom some people in the room may remember, who was a gigantic bouncer of the Mason. So all the three of us were in New Horizons, which is basically adult ed, to finish off math, because I needed math to get into CEGEP, which was, embarrassing to say the least. I thought I did pretty well, and I ended up being able to pass a whole year's worth of math in 5 days. Sebastian was there, did not try one iota, and finished that test without studying whatsoever, and finished math in 1 day, and then walked off like it didn't mean anything to him. So I mean, just the absolute ability that guy has, it was unbelievable, and he showed that, and many more times when we were just hanging out in Montreal or wherever. He was always the kind of the smartest dude around. But also kind of let you know it as well. So that could be frustrating at times. But he was a beautiful guy in his own way. And the other thing that sticks with me is his relationship with that dog. I mean, that was one of the most beautiful things that I ever saw, really. I know that dog was really, really a broken animal once when Sebastian got it, and it just the turnaround there was amazing. And the fact that just seeing them together was a really beautiful thing at Shazam Fest or in Montreal or, wherever else you might catch them. And so that's how I will remember Sebastian Gallup. He was a beautiful dude. Thanks for letting me say my piece.
Thank you, Sam. Harrison, you have the floor.
I just wanted to point out something Seb that's important, is that how fearless Seb was constantly. Probably not to his benefit all the time, but no matter what we did, the consequences never really mattered to Seb. He would figure that out after. He'd ask for forgiveness, but we hung out for years and we didn't do anything. He could do a million things, but he would just constantly be starting a new thing before any plans we'd ever made. One day I hung out with him in Montreal. He was working. He worked for the Yellow Pages at the time to take pictures of the businesses. Anyway, so I met up with him downtown, and I didn't know he was working. And I took a picture of the sign. I'm like, okay, well. And then we ended up hanging out at that restaurant from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. He didn't go to a single one of his other appointments. And I had no idea he was working. Thank you. But he was at work. That was that. We would hang out, and our day would go nowhere. But it was a great time. I miss him like crazy. We kind of had a falling out over the end of his time here with us, but I did talk to him on the 24th, and I'm very, very happy I did. But it's great if it won't go away, but he was a great guy, and glad to see all the people celebrating.
Here, I'll share another. Oh, you gonna? No, I'll share one more while somebody. You want to go first or do you want yours? Okay.
You can't refuse them.
I'll sit on.
This is my father, Michael.
Yeah, I remember a lot of faces, but not all the names. For the night be here. So, Jeremy, what year did the popcorn stand in the next to the gazebo in Hatley?
We would have been 14 years old. So yeah.
So I don't know some of you, but in North Hatley, they have this ancient popcorn machine with gas, and people come, and Jeremy chose that as his make money on Saturday's trip, and he invited Sebastian to do it with him. And being a businessman, you know, I was helping to organize him and whatnot, and organize Sebastian too. That's an oxymoron. And so we would go there and pick up Jeremy. He'd be there on time. Where's Sebastian? He didn't have the same time schedule that we did. And, you know, and I tried to use my affirmative ways that Jeremy resisted but put up with a fair amount. Depends on the age he was at. And just didn't go anywhere with Sebastian. What I did notice is that when Sebastian was with Jeremy to sell the popcorn, they sold more. Because he had that energy that everybody appreciated. And he had that goodness that was well within himself. So for me, seeing him younger and hearing about him over the years was a trial too, in hearing Jeremy. And I just say that we're all blessed to know him, and we hope that next life will be different, or that he'll be haunting us for the years to come.
I wanted to share kind of I didn't share that many moments or, you know, things that were memorable in the same way, but it just came to me here like a few minutes ago when I was in the back there, and we were in Vancouver, car freshly broken down, a maroon station wagon, my father's old station wagon, and with 300,000 kilometers, my dog and Sebastian, after a month of driving, the brake line blew, but the car was from Quebec, so rusty, and we couldn't fix it. And we just went to touch, actually, it was right after seeing Sarah, we went to touch the ocean for the first time, right? So we're touching right in Stanley Park in Vancouver, the ocean. And it's 11 p.m. We've been driving, parked the car, you know, Quebec plates on it. And there's this guy that's like an older gentleman that comes out and he says, "Hey, bonjour." And he sees two, you know, young guys obviously traveling across the country with a dog. And this man ended up being a really, really close person to me in my life, became a mentor, and I considered him family. And he was, you know, an extremely well recognized politician. And he was a member of parliament for 14 years. He signed the Charter of Rights with Trudeau Sr., giving Aboriginal rights to Canadians. He brought the Olympics to Vancouver. He brought the BC Film Credits. He was Minister of Environment for British Columbia. And he was just a really spectacular human. And Sebastian and I are just, you know, 18, just spending a month living in this car, and the car's broken down, and he comes and says, "Hey, bonjour." He sees Quebec plates, he loves to pet a dog, and, you know, he's coming out from a night out with lawyers, and gives us his business card. And he says, "Boys, if you ever need to do your laundry, or if you're in trouble, I'm a lawyer and I'm near the youth hostel." And we're like, cool, like, all right. And he left, and then Sebastian and I were talking the next day, and we're like, well, like, we're sleeping in a broken car right now, right? Like, we're sleeping in a station wagon with a dog in the city, you know, it's not a thing. And Sebastian's like, well, you know, I'm like, well, why don't I call him? And so I called this man, Ian Waddell, who's part of the federally used NDP. And I called him and I said, "Hey, just, you know, Sebastian and I were wondering if we could maybe pitch our tent in your backyard because our car is broken down." and he said, actually, my backyard's full of dog shit. You can't do that. And he had this golden retriever, and I had one dog. He's like, but I have this Burning Man camper van. And we're like, what? So this other man in the 60s. And he's like, yeah. So Sebastian and I stayed in a Westphalia type camper for 10 days. This Ian Waddell guy connected us with all these people that were working with people that actually had drug addictions and that were working in that space who were mechanics. And so we had this guy come, and we had to give him money up front for him to go buy drugs to then go work on the Subaru. And because we got a quote to get the car fixed, it was like over $2,000 for brake line, because whatever. So this guy charged $180, and he just rewired the brake line around the rusty bits and made it all work. And we were staying in this camper, and it was just such a surreal, weird space where Sebastian and I were just like, wow, you really can't tell where life will take you. And Sebastian's father had just passed away right before that trip. And it was a big pain of his to not having been able to have introduced some of his friends to his father who he hadn't been in touch with in some time. It was a really big one for him. It was a really painful moment. And so he had to fly. Well, he didn't have to. He flew back to Quebec, obviously, for his father's funeral. But we, prior to that, we just stayed in a Burning Man camper. I don't know if there's photos of like this politician guy in like shorts on the. If you know what Burning Man is, it's like a big art and celebration culture in the States, in the middle of the desert, and it's like super hippy dippy. And for like a straight cut politician, that's feathers, leather, absolutely very out there. And
They drained literally this whole village, and the bus was gone. It's gone. You wouldn't even know it's there now.
Yeah. 70,000 people in the desert.
I know.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
So Sebastian made quick friends with, Ian Waddell and Ian's friends as well. And it was just such a unique memory of like, wow, what a weird experience to live through. And it was a really, really fun time. It brings me a lot of joy to think about that. Anyways, that's it.
Hey, I saw that you're on the other line when I called, but my phone's at 0%, so I don't really have a choice but to leave your message right now. I just turned my phone on. I saw what time it was. I went for a walk in Boyer Park with my friend, but I'm coming now. So if you need to eat, I will be there, but I want to tell you that I'll be late, like beforehand. So I don't want it to feel like last time. If you need to eat, but I am coming directly to the house, and so I will be there. And I'm near the Jean-Coutu on Mount Royal, but like the one closer to Papineau. So I'm just coming from Laurier Park. So, okay, I will see you when I get there. Okay, bye.
Hi, everyone. I didn't know Sebastian very much growing up. I just knew he was a boy from town. He was a bit older than me. But I got to spend some time with him 2 summers ago. I wasn't around last summer, but 2 summers ago, we bumped into each other. And obviously, I mean, I knew who he was. He knew who I was. We saw each other in a play group when we were children. Everything that you said about him, I can really understand now, because I felt the same way about him, even though I didn't spend as much time with him. He was a really, as Jeremy said, kind, gentle soul. So the first thing that blew my mind is that he had this dog with him, this beautiful white husky, and he told me that a friend of his had gotten seriously injured and couldn't walk his dog, and he took that upon himself to walk the dog for his friend. And I think he did that for weeks, if not months. He would walk the dog. I think every single day he would go to his house, pick the dog up and walk the dog. And so my parents sort of live on his walking trajectory. And every time he would walk by, he would stop by and see if I was home, visiting my parents or staying with them. And I would just walk with him. We'd walk around the block. And he had such a gift with the dog. It was really incredible. He was giving me some tips, and I thought, wow, he's so gifted. And I realized why he was able to get people to buy popcorn. Is that he had really this special and very unique and rare ability to make everyone feel so special. So I mean, we didn't need to know each other that well, and it takes some time for me to warm up to people. But with him, I felt really welcome in who I was very quickly and very comfortable with him. So I remember that about him. And I think that's such a unique quality that he had. And I remember these moments walking with him around the block in the summer. Sometimes he'd come in the backyard, we'd hang out with my mom. And we always thought when he walked away, we always thought, what a nice person. He had such a warm smile, he would come over and he'd bring this really warm and friendly energy. And I've met very few people like that. So I just wanted to share that. That's my memory of him.
Is there anyone who wants to try to shake the champ's tools? Please. Yeah. Sebastian was one of the first friends I made in high school. Going into high school, I was a pretty big computer nerd, and I considered myself pretty damn good at it. And then I made friends with Sebastian and realized I didn't know shit. It was just so far and beyond what I was capable, and man, he taught me so much. And another thing about him was just he was one of the funniest people I've ever known in my life. This guy just knew how to make you laugh. He was so sharp and so quick-witted, and he had that infectious laugh that just kept you going. And he just really could light up a room when he'd go into it if he wanted to. It was amazing. And yeah, he had the love for philosophical debates, and I certainly had the love for that as well. And I had some of the best conversations I've ever had in my life with that man over the years. And like a lot of people, I had a big falling out with him, and we drifted super far apart. And ideologically, in our lives and ideologically speaking, I think we became complete polar opposites. And I would still be talking with him, and he would make me so angry sometimes. And I would get upset with him, but he never got upset with me, ever. And no matter how angry I did get at him, he would always send me a message and extend that olive branch and just want to, repair what had just happened. He had an incredible gift and amount of love and empathy in him. And that's something I'm going to try and learn from. And that's the way I'm going to remember him. He was a big hearted.
Yeah, I'm just going to talk from here.
Got it? Sound check. Folks, can you hear Janet from your angle?
Thanks, yeah.
Go for it.
You definitely know how to debate. I post something, I say, I would not remember. Like he would go on for days. You seriously, Janet, you really think that's right? And then he stopped me one fact after another, and then I opened up my messages, it'd be something else there. Way back up, as we share. I mean, he was a dog whisperer. He was just a beautiful all around kid. In a long time. He's so smart. Too smart, probably. Good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
He just didn't love himself. I could learn to love himself. He would have just made this world amazing. But sorry. That's all I got to say.
I'll stay here. I think I was even a little bit here and there, but I think I only really started getting to know Sebastian about a year and a half ago. So I don't necessarily have the same history. But in the relatively short time that I came to know him, he had an enormous impact
Take your time. We're surrounded by all Sebastian friends and family, so it's fine.
Children and all my dogs.
Yes.
I think I've ever met anyone in my entire life, I'm not exaggerating, who was as like caring, this this ability in him to empathize and to see things in people. And I profoundly believe that the way that he left this world in no way defines the quality of his person. And I sincerely believe that it's a great loss to the world that he's not with us anymore. But that it was a great gift to the world that he was a part of it. Yeah, he was just someone who you could, yeah, he was very special. And I could just be real with him. Very real. It was fucking awesome. You don't get that sense of liberation. And just something, yeah, like we're sharing like some memories. Like I have this dog. And she's my first dog, and she's pretty special. She's really deeply loving soul as well, but also like has some behavioral issues. And I think like it's created a bit of a falling out with my neighbors. And yeah, Sebastian had this like ability to this incredible ability, as we all know, was to reel her in and to bring peace, like to share peace, I feel, with her. And my neighbors had never like even approached her, and were never able to pet her. And like he just out of his own like jolly, like friendly spirit, like he got them to see the dog for who she is, and who like me and my kids know her to be. And I feel like that's just kind of how he was able, to like take something that was broken, because I think he was, and to like bring the beauty out in it, because he was. And I feel like he was someone I could really trust, even if you couldn't completely depend on him. Like he was really someone that I could trust. And I'm deeply saddened that I won't be able to get to know him even more, and deepen our friendship. But I'm really, really grateful that I did get to know the bit of him that I did, and that I did get to speak to him by video on his birthday.
So yeah, that's really special. And just to say, like, I was away, and he was like at my place checking up on things, and he called me to check in on me, because that's what he did. And one of my regrets, and the pain that I'll carry for a while, is that I feel like I didn't check in with him. I didn't check it enough with him. Because I knew that he had, his struggles. And it was a little bit taboo, a little bit like shy. So, but he knew, like, he knew that I was there, and I did tell him that, like, I wanted to help him if I could, and if he would let me in to do that. So I think he knew, like, that I was there for him still. But I just feel like it. I think, as we all do, that it was just like never enough. It wasn't enough. We didn't give enough to someone who deserved so much.
Sebastian always do. Don't worry, we always do.
Before I ask anybody else to speak, I just wanted to say thank you to Jeremy Berending, Kelsey Moon, Benoit Lachance, and also our videographer Aaron Robinson for helping out this at today's event.
Times in his life, and he always cherished those memories. Absolutely.
You knew you could show up the door,
And he did. Sometimes 3 a.m., 4 a.m., he would show up.
Hey Wilson, it's Sebastian. I'm just calling you to let you know I'm okay. But I had a pretty difficult day yesterday. So anyway, I just wanted to call you rather than text you. So when you have a chance, you can give me a call or text me, whatever you wish. I don't really like texting that much. So I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.
I was speaking to a really face-to-face guy about Sinten, and we were at a lot of classes in high school together, and he was goofy and I was goofy, and I kind of bounced around from friend group to friend group, so we weren't like besties or anything, but more than acquaintances, I would say, at that time. But we saw each other at the Lion, and I was, telling him what was up, and I'm getting married in the next few days, and he was like, I'm going to be there. And I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, well, I don't know. I mean, we have to get it already. I was early 20s, and it wasn't like I was more organized than now. I wish if I could do it again, I would have like a very open kind of situation. But anyway, and he was like, yeah, no, I'm going to come, and it's going to be great. I'm so excited for it. And in my head, I'm thinking like, oh, God. It's not like, and I have like the tape settings, and I wasn't sure, I couldn't read them. I was just like, oh, all right, yeah, okay, yeah, the time is this, and I think I gave him the time for after supper. And then he didn't show, and then again, like maybe a few months or even like a few years later, I can't even remember him saying like, yeah, sorry I didn't make it. I'm really, really sorry. I felt really bad about it. And I was, like, yeah, totally fine with that. Really nice that you wanted to be there. It all went well. And but I think the point that I wanted to make was that despite the fact that I didn't have the same kind of relationship as all of you did with him, and I did not, get a chance. I didn't, know about the demons that he was facing, the struggles that he was going through.
but I wanted to I was so grateful that Jeremy had done this, Facebook group messaging, because I wanted to be here, and I just speaking with him in high school, like Augusta said, you walk away from certain people in your life sometimes, and you don't even need to have a strong relationship with them, but then you leave feeling like, whoa, what was that? Like, man, like some people you cross and like strangers even, you just have like a random conversation, you just get something out of it, or you feel like a connection. It sounds so stereotypical or hippy-dippy or whatever, but like I like definitely felt that with him, and thought that, he was an amazing guy, and he was funny, and like I said, like his goofiness complemented my weird goofiness at whatever time. And I just really liked the guy, and I liked bumping into him randomly, and I liked like having these weird random conversations. And I'm really sorry that he's not here anymore. I send my condolences and my sympathies to all of you guys. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
So totally, I'm trying to decide what to say.
I think my notes are white. I don't want to hear that speech.
He's one of those guys I was like so good at being a really good friend to you, even though you don't make you want to get into a fight. That's like, you're fucking smart. And so you wanted to argue, but you always knew just to keep your ass here. Like, the fucking stubborn asshole that like push people away. You have conflict, and you're starting to reconcile recently, but I just forget that I couldn't do more, like given the opportunity that he was like presenting to me to reconcile the differences we had. That just, I don't know, I was always so envious of the way you don't do anything for me, like so effortlessly and just be successful doing anything. And it was just like inspiring to see somebody that talented and intelligent, and I don't know, just a big part of everything.
It's good seeing you, Gideon.
Moi, je voulais juste partager, parce que Sébastien est resté ici avec nous quelques mois, je ne sais plus combien de mois. C'est correct si je parle en français?
Oui, mais
Je peux parler en anglais, mais pas. Et il habitait en haut ici, au-dessus de la scène. Et je ne sais pas comment il a entendu parler de la caravane ou comment il a abouti ici, mais on était contents qu'il se présente. Je ne connaissais pas son milieu vraiment. Après, j'ai réalisé que sa mère, je l'avais connue parce qu'elle nous avait confié des poules qu'elle ne pouvait pas garder à notre Hatley. Donc, on a eu ces poules bien avant que je connaisse Sébastien. Et après, j'ai fait la connexion. Puis, Sébastien m'a arrangé l'ordinateur ici parce que il a installé Linux. J'étais très contente. Puis après, quand il est parti, il a déménagé, je ne pouvais plus accéder à certains programmes qu'il avait mis dans mon ordi. Et je ne pouvais même plus ouvrir, je ne savais pas le mot de passe. Je l'ai appelé et j'ai dit, Sébastien, il y a un problème, est-ce que tu pourrais venir? Il me dit, oui, je vais passer la semaine prochaine. Il n'est jamais venu. Et j'ai fini par deviner, essayer des mots de passe, puis c'était mon nom, le mot de passe. Alors, tu peux écrire Cécile maintenant. Et moi, je ne comprends rien d'autre là-dedans. Je peux juste écrire Cécile et là, on peut voir des choses. Mais j'ai pas su plus que ça. Et en tout cas, je pense à lui à chaque fois que je ne sais pas qu'est-ce qui se passe là-dedans. Et aussi, on a partagé un peu des goûts musicaux. On aimait beaucoup Chris Style, la mandoline très bien. Et il m'a demandé si je pouvais lui écrire une chanson de Chris Style qu'il aimait beaucoup. Alors, j'ai écrit la partition et on lui a joué avec Alex et Il était vraiment émerveillé, il aimait tellement cette musique. Alors, on a ce souvenir de lui. Puis j'ai appris sa mort au Baron, c'est au magasin qu'ils m'ont dit, you know. Et moi, je ne connaissais pas son milieu, donc j'étais vraiment surprise et étonnée. Puis c'est comme si j'ai du mal à me faire à l'idée. J'ai toujours l'impression que je vais le croiser quelque part, comme c'était le cas avant. Voilà. Mes souvenirs.
So I've known Sebastian. I knew Sebastian for quite a long time. Not as long as you guys went to high school with him, but I met him back. I think it was like 2005. I was working at the Lion here in North Hatley, and there would always be like a lot of kids around, like friends of Darius and that family, the LAs, and but Sebastian was like, that was a lot, I was older than him, like 8 years older than him. And he was like the only kid who like came up and like wanted to meet me and like introduced himself to me. And after that, like whenever I would run into him, he would always like make a point of coming up to me and, you know, asking me how I was. And it didn't feel like small talk though. It felt like he really cared. Yeah. He really like, he looked at you deeply, and when he asked you how you were, it was like he really wanted to know. So other people have said that too. He wasn't this kind of guy who just like small talked, or, you know, he was a deep person, and he connected with people on a deep level. That's how I always felt about him. And then I moved away. I was living in New York for quite a while. And when I was there, he made a public post one point, or maybe, you know, a friend's post or whatever, about his struggle with addiction. And something in me like told me, you know, I need to like reach out to him privately and talk to him about this, because addiction was something that I really struggled with in my life as well. And so I wrote to him, and, you know, I told him, you know, like what had happened to me. I had this spiritual experience, and I started a certain like spiritual practice that really helped me like get over my addictions. And in a sort of rather miraculous way, actually. And so I told him about that, and I really, you know, wanted to help him. And anyway, he thanked me for that, and then that was like the last I heard from him for a long time. And then last year, it turned out he got in touch with my dad. I guess somehow he knew my dad, and he ended up moving in with my parents. So for the past year, he's been in very close connection with my family. He lived for quite a few months with my parents, and then he lived with my sister for a few months as well. So we all got very close to him. Me, my parents, my kids, my 3 kids who are here, and who he really cared about as well, and really connected in a very special way with my kids too. Anyway, I had very high hopes for Sebastian. I think a lot of us had very high hopes for him. And I felt like when he got in touch with us again, when he got in touch with my parents and he came there, like I really had high hopes that he was gonna, you know, be able to clean up his act and you know, get out of that cycle that he was in. But it didn't work out. And it's really sad, and it's a waste. It's a horrible, horrible waste, because he had so much potential and so much heart. I'll try to end this on a positive note. Anyway, I talked to him the day of his birthday, called me. He wanted to talk to me. He talked to my husband. He was supposed to like, it was the day before his birthday, actually. And then the day of his birthday, he was like supposed to go for a bike ride with my husband, but it didn't work out. He didn't come through. And then he tried to call us that night, the day before he died, and we were busy and we didn't answer. You know, anyway, it's just sad. Like, it's really sad, and I'm really sorry for everyone who cared for him. He was a really wonderful person, and I think, you know, the one thing that comes out, like a lot of us talk, there's a lot of people here, and everybody felt like they wanted to say something because he touched all of us. He touched each of us. He was a person who touched people. He was a people person. He was really had deep connections with people, and
Thank you. Anybody ponders a lot of thoughts over if they want to speak. Again, we do have a memory book that's going to be available for Sebastian for his mother and his brother, Shannon and Miles. There is a picture frame that we invite each household to take as well for the sake of Sebastian's memory. Benoit has offered to be near the cemetery area, so if you want to pay your last respects, that you can do so. Our thanks to the Caravane for hosting this evening. The videos and such, we'll try to put it on his Facebook. Normally he hates people checking his Facebook, but for some reason he left it open. So I'm going to take advantage of it. And it has been a very great honor to see everybody here, because he would have loved this, because you know that he loves being the center of attention. Is there anyone that wishes to say some last words amongst everybody today? Please.
Oh, me? Yeah. So I just, something.
Go ahead, Sarah.
So something someone said earlier triggered something for me that I thought was really poignant of Sebastian. I was driving him to Vancouver one time from Penticton, and my daughter tells me to stop singing in the car. I was a terrible singer. I can't hold a tune, but I like to sing alone in the car. And the one thing about Sebastian is that, like, he was like the one person who I just didn't feel I could be it felt like he just sort of accepted me as me. So I started singing in the car, and he just started singing along with me. I'd never heard him sing before, but like it was just this song, alternative song. And we're just like, for a long time, we never really talked about it. I just started singing, he started singing. So we're belting out this song for like an hour on the road. Like we were both going through, emotional stuff, and we're just like singing our hearts out. And we just like, it's something you don't have to talk about. We just got each other with like no words. We just, from the very beginning, we just always had that. I always felt I could just be me with him. And that's a really special trait that I've never found with anybody else. No one else, even my 7-year-old's like, Mom, you're the worst singer. Like he's the only person in the world who's ever been that accepting. So yeah, it's really special.
Thank you.
But I really feel like it's not. I can just want to share that is my where he's from. That is his kind nature and gentle spirit. Like that's what's shining.
Yeah, he's been liberated. He's not an enemy to himself anymore.
We have one more person in person, but I also want to acknowledge the presence of someone online, and he is coming in from Bangkok, Thailand, Skylar Lepavec. So Skylar, I'm going to put you on words to be the second to last speaker. Are you ready for that? Maybe not. Why don't you go ahead first?
Okay. I guess in the last few years that Sebastian and I were in contact, we really talked a lot about recovery and addiction, which is a subject very close to me. And the last few times I saw him, sometimes he was going in a good direction with it, and sometimes he wasn't. But
I guess what I want to share is like the last really clear memory I have of him, which is around 2006 or 2007, maybe 8, but around that time. He was looking for somebody who would bring Tally to him in Montreal. So I didn't have a car then, and I asked one of my friends, and she's really great, and she agreed. So we were on this mission to reunite Sebastian and Tally, and he was so caring about it, and he really he took the time to. I met Tally many, many times, but he took the time to tell me how to be with Tally, how to make her comfortable because she's going in this strange car and she doesn't know where she's going, and she doesn't know the driver, she doesn't know what's happening. And Tally was amazing, like the easiest dog ever to handle in a strange vehicle driving to she didn't know where. And we sent him pictures along the way, and he was just the amount of joy that he had is what really stays with me. We've talked about how caring he is, how loving he is, how smart he is, how talented he is, creative, and the day that we got Tally there, I didn't really get to spend any time with him because we had to come back to Sherbrooke, and he came downstairs to get her, and he didn't look very well in his body. It was hard, but he was glowing. It was like the most beautiful reunion that I've ever seen. So that's just an image that I really want to share, like an image of joy, and just they needed to be together, and it was just like so beautiful. And that's all I want to share.
I take it back. Charlie's been having some connectivity issues. So is there anybody else that's left that wishes to say a few words? Is there anybody from online who might want to say the last words? There's a new person that just joined. There's a new person that joined, and I have no idea who that is. There is a chat that says, thank you everyone who organized this and came out. It's really great to see all of you. Do we have somebody coming in from California or? Will be from Florida. Florida, okay. Okay. So
Anne, you're welcome to share. We're just sharing memories, fond moments we've had with.
Okay, well maybe I'll share. What do I go for this?
come on in. It's being zoomed across the world.
Across the world. Hi,
Across the
friends.
Well, I grew up in NH with Seb, and we had one of the best summers of my life. When I was 17, we both worked at the Hobnob, and it was Natalie and Jill at the time that were the owners, and poor Natalie and Jill, I don't know what they thought about leaving Seb and I in charge of that restaurant. God. I had the waitressing portion of the restaurant, and Seb was in the kitchen cooking. Oh my God, we had a blast that summer. We spent our entire summer laughing at the tourists that come to North Hatley, because you know how we can get when we're the locals and they're not. And I mean, there was not, I think, an hour that went by without us being bent over laughing, and without me trying to run back because there's customers waiting for us, you know, a little annoyed because I'm just hanging out in the kitchen with Seb and we're just, you know, having a blast. And then when we would close the restaurant, some friends would come in and stuff like that, and we'd all have a drink. And, you know, I was 17, so that was very exciting to be, you know, drinking a little illegally. There was one time I remember we were having shots on the bar, and Seb was, you know, quite tall. And the way the bar was, I don't know if you guys remember, but there were glasses of wine that would hang, like you would put them on the rack. And at some point, Seb had a few, and he went like this, and he went, you know, he took the shot, and his head hit the rack of glasses of wine and they went flying.
Oh.
And, you know, that was just another example of us not stressing out about losing our jobs, or because Natalie and Jill were also very nice and very understanding of our age and everything. And yeah, we were on the floor, just dying on the floor. We also raised our dogs together, Tally and Indy. Indy's my dog. I still have him. He's 15 now, husky. And we took these dogs on, they were the same age, they grew up together. We took them on so many hiking trips, and so many adventures, and just, you know, when you're young, you can't sleep at night. You just want to be awake at night all the time. And, you know, just chilling in the village when there's no one out there, you know, around midnight. It's the most magical thing, going to dreamland. And the dog's just loose. And of course, Tally was, I remember Seb would just walk in the street and would be like, Tally, up on the sidewalk. And she would just walking. I'm there with my husky who's like zigzagging, you know, everywhere. So yeah, I mean, I have a bunch with Seb, and I saw him 2 days before he passed. He was close to my house, and he was walking my neighbor's dog and probably training her. Peter, I don't know if he's here.
No,
He's not. Okay. And because he was so good with animals, especially dogs. And yeah, he was happy, he was chill as usual. And so it was a big shock, but we all miss him. Awesome memories with him. So yeah, that's what I have for now.
Thank you. You know what I'm going to ask. So I just also want to mention to the folks who are online that if you wish to have something saved in the memory book for Sebastian's mother and brother, you can either email me or just send me a chat, preferably this evening, so I can gather it and put it in, because my intention is to present that to his mother and brother. And I think it would be very beneficial if everybody, if you don't have any, you don't know what to say, just put your name. The important part is tonight, we put him to rest, and I want to make sure that he's surrounded by his friends. And that's the important part. But in true sense, Sebastian always wanted to have the last word. So I'm going back to a letter that he wrote to us, some of us in 2014. And this is actually one of the valleys that he was going through. I wanted to write a letter to thank each and every one of you for the amazing displays of love, caring, and selflessness that I could only begin to put into words. If we could all be so lucky to have such amazing people in our lives, the world would be a much better place. I am truly blessed and care about each and every one of you more than I can put into words right now. Life has thrown me in and out of a situation to teach me a very valuable lesson. Part of it being my need to express more openly my gratitude towards others. I have reset my sober date on Reddit, which is how I keep track of things, to August 21st, 2014. My work is not done, but it's my own to do and mine alone. You will all be forever in my thoughts if there is ever a moment, months, or years down the road where I lose my way again. I will keep in mind how much I scared some of you. I will keep in mind how much my actions affect the important ones in my life. Thank you for being wonderful examples of friends and family. I move forward from here a lot wiser and hopefully more grateful. You all need to as well, but I will allow the days that I'm sober to be your reassurance, and I will not ask too much of your faith or certitude of my conviction. But in return, all I ask is that you never, not once, question mine. When each of you is ready to talk to me about this, I simply ask you to talk to me only when you believe my conviction is true, not before. Until then, it is my journey to take. And then obviously Sebastian throws in some words I cannot spell because it was in Swedish, which ultimately translate to be, may every breath be filled with the eternity of your being. So in the presence of his family and friends here, and I think at this point we're all family to that effect.
Sebastian James Alexander Woman Blake Gallup, may you be at peace and know that there were, are, and will be people who will remember you as family and friends. May you and Tally be together forever on your next journey.
Thank you very much.
Hey, how you doing? I'm just calling to say hi. I wanted to let you know also that I found a place for the first or whenever I want, which is great just because this time of year. I'm actually pretty busy. I'm doing a lot kind of with family and friends. I have like 4 or 5 dinners and a photo shoot and stuff, so I'm going to be busy. But I move in whenever I want, pretty much, which is really good. So, yeah. And I won't be in the basement anymore. I'll be on the 2nd floor. Very nice. Got the Caravane on Capleton, which is kind of the home, but they have a restaurant and they have closed in the winter, but they have, you might have gone to eat there, maybe with Miles, possibly. I think maybe. I'm unsure, but anyway. So yeah, anyway, so I'll be moving when I'm pretty much, which I think is probably going to be on the 26th. It's a weird day to move, but I think, or the 28th. 28th would be a good day too. So I have Lissa and Bill invited me to a, I guess, kind of cocktail party on the 22nd. That's on Sunday. And then on Monday, I'm doing my photo shoot with the Jakin family. Then Christmas Eve, I'm not sure if I'm having my dinner at my mom's. We're having roast pork, which I've never had at my mom's for Christmas, but I'm down for that. So I don't know if we're having a dinner on the 24th or the 25th. Probably the 25th. I'm not sure what I'll do on the 24th. Sure, I'll find something to do. On the 27th, I have. Why am I telling you this now? Anyway, what are you doing for Christmas? Are you going to Toronto? I think you said you're only going for 3 days. Anyway, give me a call when you're free. Take care. Bye. Just wanted to let you know about the apartment. Ciao.